Angel Nieves is a former NYPD detective and says...
The late photographer, journalist Ardina Seward. Nice to see you, Ardina.
Thanks for having me, Dan. And there you have it. Thanks for being with us, folks. Thanks for watching. Our subscription levels our subscribers are increasing, and we're really, really excited about that. We bring guests to you once a week, every week. We spend a lot of time trying to find people who will give you the best information possible. But tonight we are going to talk about ourselves. And I want to share something with the audience, because you're probably wondering, what's that stuff on the bottom of her chin? What happened was I took a tumble. I was dehydrated. I had passed out in my house. And what was kind of unnerving was when I woke up, there was blood on the floor. But beside the blood was my cat, who was literally sitting right there on my head. And she would not leave me until someone came down who was upstairs. And they tended to me. They took me to the doctor, the whole 9 yards, like, that's sewn up. This is starting to go away. But make a long story short, it gave me a very poignant lesson about how psychic animals are. My cat would not leave. My cat knew that I was in trouble before I knew that I was in trouble. And she stayed by me until she's running around here on the floor. Where are you? Where are you? She's running around here on the floor doing what she always does. Let me see if I can grab her. Stop. Let me see if I can grab her. This is my little companion who stayed by my head and didn't move because she knew something was wrong before I knew something was wrong. And animals are psychic. So anyway, enough about me, but just take care of your pets. All I can tell you is that they know a heck of a lot more than we think that they know. Even when we're not watching, cats, animals have a sixth sense. They are psychic. So that being said, we have a lot of videotape. And that videotape is about cautionary tales, about leaving your animals outside and tethering your animals to posts, fences, tying them up in the backyard. We've all done it because we don't want them to run away, and we do it out of caution. But in many ways, it could be more harmful than anything. We didn't know that it could be, but there's enough videotape, there's enough evidence that even if you tie your animals up outside, and it's for good intentions, it could have bad consequences. Angel, you have some tape.
Before we talk about that, we're talking about animals outside today. The first tape I want to use is a tape from Australia, because a lot of people telling me that I lost my dog, or my dog is small. I have a chihuahua, and my dog cannot get away. Everything is closed. I have a wall and everything. No way this dog could get out. Somebody stole my dog. And the thing is, if you have the pet outside by itself, that dog will find a way to get out, or somebody could take your dog. And this situation is in Australia, a guy named Dr. Chris Brown. He has his own show in Australia, the dog show, the dog house. And we're going to show it, but to let you know is that I'm not going to show you the whole show, because you're going to find out the ending on your own when you see the episode. I'm going to give that respect to him. But the thing we're showing now is how can a dog that small can actually escape. Let me show it to you now.
It's on.
You know he might not actually climb. He doesn't go out every day.
Maybe he knows what we're up to. There's no sign of him. How long after you leave does he know? Oh, here we go. You're kidding. Oh my God.
No way.
How's he doing that?
He's hanging on with one paw. He's pulling himself up with his left paw only.
It's like a dog chin up.
He doesn't use the vine that much though.
He doesn't. Just go straight to the bricks.
Yeah, he's going to get stuck. He's going to get
So
stuck.
he's holding himself up with the vine, like almost as a safety strap.
It's too high because the vine's going to move. He's not got the white vine anywhere. He's not got the vine anywhere.
He's incredible.
It can't have been easy to scale that wall.
No. He just stays there. Looks around, checks out the neighbour's garden.
That's a single brick width wall. It's only this wide.
Yeah. What I find interesting about this, though, is that he's not trying to run away. He's not scurrying off into the distance.
He's up on the roof.
He's up on the roof.
I guess I knew he was on the roof, but it's one thing to know it and another to see him just calmly jump up there.
So who lives there?
So that's Stephanie and James.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So it just goes to show you that even when you even when you think that you've secured your pets, you haven't. They can get in situations that, because we're looking at it from a certain perspective, that we would not even be able to conceive. So even if you tie your pets up outside, you've got to monitor them. You've got to be able to check and see where they are. You've got to be able to check and see what they're up to. We know it can be done with small dogs and even large dogs, because big dogs can run, they can leap, they can jump, they can scratch, they can burrow beneath. And before you know it, they're gone. Then you're sitting there scratching your head saying, well, I don't understand how he or she was able to escape. You just saw it. And that's what you have to be careful of.
Well, also they understand is that a dog outside, a dog is a social animal. That's why they have packs of dogs. And when the dog goes to the family, you're part of their packs, and you're pack dogs. And what happens is, if you leave the dog by itself or have nothing to do, then they get bored, anxious, they're not social no more, and they could even get aggressive. And the thing is, like, for example, this dog here found something to do and get out of that wall that is really nothing going on there. So he jumped it. I mean, actually, he climbed like a person and went from roof to roof. The same way the dogs who actually go underneath the fence, that people say there's no way he could crawl underneath. Yes, they can. A big dog and a small dog, they could actually crawl under. They will find a way to go and explore. And that's what they do. They explore.
So even if they are tethered. So, but I want to get back to the point of tethering, because we had talked about that in the beginning of the show. That even if you think you're doing the right thing by tying your dog to a post or tying your dog to a fence, in theory it is the right thing to protect them from running away, but it can also be detrimental in extreme weather. And then, Angel, you have videotape to show how the consequences were pretty bad when people tied their dogs up to what they thought was a safe area.
Yes, but let me show you this article here, because I have one with the video and one without. And the people have to understand is the danger of tethering your dogs. I always say tethering first, like, that's my Spanish accent, but it's tethering the dog. You see the dog on top, and you see the rope tied around. That doesn't mean that the owner did that. What happens is the dog will run around the tree, and then it gets stuck right where they see the dog the way it is. And that could also happen is when you see the dog from the right corner on top of a car, They jump on top of the car and they have the rope or the chain around them. What happens is if they jump down the same way, now they actually hang themselves and they die. They get choked to death. That's how important it is. That's how dangerous this is. And also, they cannot run away. They cannot run away from anything if an animal comes to attack them or wildlife. They will have to stay there and fight or get killed if they're small. So they cannot defend themselves. Tethering is very bad. I'll tell you right now, it's no way to keep a dog. A dog is social, should be kept inside. This right here is over by this right here is a chief from in North Carolina. And over by Bellhaven, somebody called and said that the dog was tethered and couldn't go out nowhere, and the water's rising. And this person was desperate, calling and calling and calling. And some people will actually say, well, if that person is calling, why don't they go out there themselves? Well, you know, the thing is, they're not professionals. They don't know what to do. The water could go up and drown them or take them away, but we don't know how the current. Electric wires could fall in the water. Now you get electrocuted. It's a lot of things that they don't have expertise on. And the only expertise would be the people that showed up. He showed up in a fire truck and he got the dog and he saved the dog. And, you know, I give them, you know, there he goes right there. The chief, look at the dog right here. Listen, chief, if you listen to this video, thank you. And your helper, thank you for saving this dog. But people, you have to understand, you can't leave your dogs out there. I believe there's a crime in this situation. They're investigating. Another place is over by Greenville, North Carolina. And over in Greenville, Carolina, was somebody also called, and he went to save this dog. That was the same situation. It was tied up on a fence, nowhere to go. Owners are gone because they don't want nothing happen to them, and they leave the poor dog by itself. So here it is.
Wow, that is really, really scary, because if they hadn't gotten there in time, who knows what would have happened to that dog. Based on the video, it would have had some pretty dire consequences. And, you know, it's not to cast aspersions on the owner of the dog, because the owner had good intentions. Who knew that the water was going to come in like that? Who knew the weather, the rain conditions were going to change? And but thank God that somebody was able to find that dog and rescue that dog. But it's just another reason why you really shouldn't leave your animals out in the backyard like that, tied up. They can't defend themselves. There could be unforeseen circumstances where the animal needs to flee, and now the animal's stuck and they can't get out.
We'll also have to understand this thing. They have a dog. They have a pet. Could be a cat, could be anything, a dog, an animal. And they are responsible of their pet. They have 100% responsibility, and anything happens to that pet, depending on what state you are, they charge you for animal abuse, cruelty. The dangers of the tethering is not only what you just saw now. It's a lot of things. The dog will actually become aggressive. The dog is by itself, tied up, nowhere to go, nothing to do. They get aggressive. All that adrenaline inside them and they will actually bite. If you're tied up on a pole, oh, nobody's gonna take my dog, and my dog will bite them. Really? Think of what you just said. If that dog bites, I will sue you for everything you own, and your dog will be put down because of your way of thought. I gotta change the words around. Your way of thought. You're not allowed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. This dog, you're the one that brought the dog home. It's not a date that the dog said, listen, I'm going to live in your house. You paid for this dog. You adopt this dog. So you're responsible and treat them the way it's supposed to be. As a family. Because if somebody steals your dog, they stole my baby. Well, you don't keep your baby tied up on a pole. I'm sorry. You don't. So these are things that a lot of the reasons why the dog could die. The dog could get eaten by wildlife. The dog could get beaten up by a person just to kick it, nowhere to go, steal your dog. There's a lot of reasons why not to do it. I'm sorry, it gets me a little bit upset sometimes when I see things like this.
No, years ago I did a story when I was working in news about a dog in Queens. The dog's name was Grandpa, and I believe it was a pit bull, and if I recall, I believe that dog had been tied by the owners, had been tied up to a fence. Anyway, to make a long story short, the neighborhood was not a great neighborhood. There was a lot of activity and drug dealing, and every time the dealers would come out in the corner, the dog would start to bark. So one day, someone came by and doused the dog with a chemical and set the dog on fire. And the dog had nowhere to go, nowhere to run. The dog was stuck right there in that spot. The consequences were really, really bad. There was a fundraiser to be able to get medical assistance for the dog. The story was that the dog lived for about maybe 2 or 3 days, but they couldn't save the dog. I mean, it was a sad story because it was a dog that was very beloved by the family. The family was brokenhearted. They had no intentions of doing the wrong thing. But that beloved dog died because that dog could not get away from these people, the dealers, and just was tortured to death because the dog was set on fire. So this is it's an extreme reason, but it just is. It's an example to augment what Angel was saying about leaving your dog outside where they don't have an escape route. In a way, it's better if a dog can escape if there's a dangerous situation. Even though they may run away, God willing, you'd be able to get the dog back. But what are the alternatives? The alternatives are that the dog could perish. And you don't want that. You want your dog back. You want your dog, and you want your dog safe. Do we have any more videotape, Angel, with that?
No. What I do want to talk about is, now that we mentioned all this, and we mentioned, Ophelia, it was a tropical storm.
Yes.
It wasn't even a hurricane. And all these animals, people too, they lost houses and everything. They lost a lot of things. And what happened is a lot of these people want to get something, which is more important to them than ever is their pets. And that's very understandable. But the thing is, there are precautions, things that could be done in a situation like this. You could, I want to show the video, a short video of what happened over there with the animals and people actually rescuing them.
Okay.
And then we continue.
Oh, there you have it. It's more video of what happens when you leave your animals outside. Of course, the flooding is an extreme situation because those animals are not necessarily left outside. They were caught up in the flood, and they were trying to seek safety on whatever they could seek safety on. In that case, it was a house, and thank God the ones that we saw were saved because they were above the water. But there's always going to be situations where it might not be water, it might be cold weather, it might be snow, it might be lightning. Let's say lightning is a good example. You chain your dog outside. What attracts lightning? Metal. What happens if the dog is tied up to a metal fence? You took science. You understand the physics of the situation. So even small things like that, you have to consider. You must consider. There are ways that you can build little dog houses. You can keep them inside. You don't have to tie them up. Make it comfortable for them. If you must put them outside, but at least accommodate them in such a way that if a predator comes up, or if they're in a dangerous situation, they can run, they can hide, they can duck into a little area where if something is after them, they can at least protect themselves until the danger subsides. And
Also, I want to mention this: what to do before the storm, before the earthquake, which you cannot predict. Because what you have to do is you have to think ahead of it. Like otherwise, like in the morning you wake up, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, I'm gonna go out, and I'm gonna do this and this and this. And what you do, you watch both sides of the street before you cross, because you don't want to get hit by a car, right? So precautions. So the thing we have to do is with the animals, you have to spay, neuter your pets. You have to microchip your pets. You have to have some kind of a collar with a name and a phone number. It could be the vet's. The vet will contact you. These are the precautions I'm talking about. These are the things you have to do. Also, they tell you there's a hurricane coming. Hurricane coming. Okay, so what we do? Are we going to stay there? Okay, you're going to stay there. You have a pet. What are you going to do for the pet? I know what you're going to do. You're going to get the hell out of there. But now the dog. Now you're delaying yourself. You leave the area, or you find a place beforehand where they accept animals when you go to a shelter yourself. Okay? Those are the steps you have to take. And guess what? There's a lot of animal rescues out there. They could tell you, update you, things you could do in case of disasters. Educate yourself. Prepare yourself. It's part of survival, especially now that we're getting so many disasters going on.
Oh yeah, with climate change, you should always have. It's always important to have a plan B, a backup plan. I have a friend who's he's retired now. He was a pilot for an airline, and his wife used to make a joke, and she would say, you know something, even when we go on vacation, he has a plan B. And she said, he drives me crazy, but it always works. Because when you think about it, a pilot flying a plane, God forbid something goes wrong, they have a plan B, they have a backup plan. So that's something to adapt to in life, especially when you're responsible for not only yourself, but for your pet. That if God forbid something happens, what are you going to do? How are you going to protect that pet? How are you going to have an escape route? You know, things do happen. Look, I've got this bruise on my face because I did not anticipate falling. I thought, well, I'm fine. But you know something? I fell. And I had to deal with it. Fortunately, I had people around me who were able to help me out. But just like if you have bad weather, which is going to start coming in soon, for those of you who live in snow-prone areas, what's going to happen? Let's say, for example, if you have your pet outside You go to visit a friend of yours, and you think, okay, I'm going to leave my friend's house around 8 o'clock. Well, around 7 o'clock it starts to snow, and you think you can make it, but you get on the road and you start driving. Next thing you know, you are stuck. You'll survive, you'll get out of it. But in the meantime, your dog is outside and your dog is tied up, and it's starting to snow. And first, the snow is at your dog's feet. Then the snow is midway through up to your dog's legs. You know the direction that I'm going with that. You see where it's going. So you have to think not only in terms of what you're going to do when you go out. You check the weather. You have a backup plan in case you get stuck. And you have to have a backup plan for your dog also, for your pet. Then what happens if that flood comes? What happens if it starts to snow very heavily? Then what do? Make sure that your neighbors know that you're going to be away. If you live in a rural area, then take the chance and put your pet inside. If you have a barn, put your pet inside the barn. Put your pet inside the house in a separate room. It's only just going to be for a few hours until you can get back home to safety. But it's your responsibility. You asked for that animal. That animal didn't necessarily ask for you. And it's your obligation to take care of it. So, do we have any more tape, Angel?
No, that's it. The most important thing we want to tell people is do not leave your pets outside. These things like this could happen. It could happen to you. Don't say you cannot, because it's happening all around the globe now.
That's it, folks. So with that, we are coming very close to the end of our show. Thanks for tuning in, and we have more exciting guests coming up next week. Angel, who's the? Let's give them an idea of who's coming up next in the next episode or two.
Well, in our next episode, we have I'm bad with names. You got me caught here, but it's a surprise. Put it that way now, because I read the thing about what we just talked about now is zero in. You know what I mean? Like this, it's like a cop thing. You just zero in what you're doing, and everything else is. But we're gonna have a great guest next week, and she's gonna be talking about. She's from Jersey. She has special need animals. I mean, especially need, and she will stay with them. I mean, she does an incredible job, and I'm still trying to find out her name. But anyway, so but
Well, no, it's okay because that will encourage people to watch even more. And I know who it is.
but she'll do a TV show.
I don't want to give it away. I'm only going to say that the person is kind of a celebrity.
Right.
So, and a celebrity on a national
Reality show.
on a reality show, which is not local. It's a national show. So we're not talking about, just a little person. This is somebody who you're going to tune in and you're going to see.
But also want to say is this: if anybody out there, because you notice we're around the globe.
Right.
We do Africa, Kenya, we do UK, we do all over, of course, in America. If you have any story to tell us, anything that you want to tell us, any questions you want to know that you want to be in the show, that we want to be in the show and want us to find out, just go to yourpetdetective.com. That's yourpetdetective.com and go to contact and leave the message there. I read all the emails and we see what we could do.
All right. And with that,
so people, I'm sorry.
Buddha's saying goodbye.
Buddha say you owe me big time.
Go
what
to
he's telling
sleep.
you.
Owe me big time. That's right. Right, Boo? Right, Boo? Yeah, you know that. All
So
right.
people, please spay and neuter your pets. And do you know where your pets are?